Hey YouTubers, welcome back to AZ2 Ozarks. I'm down in the basement and this is our dehumidifier. Since we repaired the leak from the water main line coming in through, the dehumidifier has been hovering around 35% humidity. Last night, before going to bed, I came down to check the water level on the dehumidifier because I always empty it before going to bed, making sure it can work all night long. It was up to 50%, and it had rained all day, so we decided to try and figure out where the problem was coming from. We first checked where the water main comes in, and that was nice and dry, so we were glad to see that that repair is holding up well. Next, we came to check the furnace room that we had all opened up, and sure enough, it is wet over here. And it looks like that back concrete wall where we had shown you it had a leak. The water is coming in through there. However, there was no moisture or wetness over here on the ground. This is the door into the house, which is drafty. But we did not think that that was causing a 50% humidity in the basement. So we continued to look. I'm not sure that I've shown you this bedroom in the basement yet. It's a really small room, but it backs up to another same size small room over there. And ultimately, I would like to knock out the wall and make it a regular size bedroom. However, when we first came to look at this house, because we did look at it twice, the first time we looked at this house, the guys were here working on it, and they were very careful to keep us out of this room. We had a good feeling that they were hiding something from us. And so the second time we came to look at the house, we made a point to look in this room. And you can see here where the drywall has been repaired. So, and we found, sheets of moldy drywall outside. So obviously there had been a leak. Shame on us for assuming that they had fixed the leak before repairing the drywall. We came in here last night, it's less now. There's puddles on the floor. So that tells us the leak is not repaired and water's coming in behind the wall. So this is a concrete wall behind here. We're in the basement, and that means there's either a crack in the concrete or it's running down behind the siding and then coming in where the concrete meets the wood. It's coming between that gap and running behind the wall here. We don't know, but either way, we're going to have to open this back up and see what the problem is. We know that the siding outside is a problem, but we really need a big break in the weather in order to start tearing off the siding and replacing siding outside. But here's another leak in the house. We probably won't be able to do anything with this today. We have a big day ahead of us. We are going to pick up the furnace, and we need to do some of the work to get that new furnace installed. In order to pick up this huge furnace, we had to load up the trailer with the tractor and bring the tractor. We unloaded the tractor and drug the furnace out of the garage of the people we were buying it from, and then hooked it up to the bucket and lifted it onto the trailer. There it is, guys, our first official Missouri snow. It's actually sticking. We're really surprised. Look how cool this is. The kids are out there scooping up what they can, making snowballs. So it looks like we are having our first white Christmas. All right, this is day 3 of this video. The morning we got up and went to pick up the furnace, our day kind of got derailed. So we went there with the flatbed trailer in order to carry the tractor because that furnace was so heavy. When we had used a dolly that had solid foam tires on it to try and move it, that was the first day we went to try and pick it up, it just flattened those tires even though they were solid. So we knew we had to have something a little bit stronger to go pick it up. So we took the flatbed with the tractor, and hooking it to the bucket of the tractor, we were able to pull it out of the garage, and then he was able to lift it up onto the trailer. So that was perfect. It went without a hitch. It was wonderful. But there's all these other pieces that go around the furnace that are made out of really thin, galvanized steel sheet metal. And we didn't have a good way to affix them to the trailer without them blowing around or getting bent and, dented and ruined. So we asked the gal, who was super sweet, if we could come back later and pick up those other pieces. And of course she said that's fine, no big deal. She had, her daughter was in a parade later that afternoon, so we just needed to be back there around 3. Well, we started driving home with the tractor thinking we would just drop that off. We would get the enclosed trailer in order to come back and get those pieces. But then we remembered the enclosed trailer is full of moldy drywall and lumber and stuff like that we need to take to the transfer station dump. No big deal. So we think, okay, well, we'll just dump that first on the way back to her place. So I look up the transfer station because we've been there twice now, and just to see what their hours were, and they're closed on the weekends. Like, seriously, how are you able to be closed on the weekends when people need to get rid of their junk? So they were closed. We didn't want to unload the trailer of all that yucky stuff and then load it back up just to take it to the transfer station on Monday. But there was a cattle trailer that Rick was looking at online because we want to get cattle, but we have to have a way to pick them up and move them and get them here. And so he said, well, let's go pick up this cattle trailer and then we can, on the way back, pick up the furnace pieces. Perfect. So we contact the guy. We're going to go pick up that trailer. It was about an hour drive to get there each way. We were still going to be within our time frame window. Okay. And we go and we get there, and Rick's looking at the trailer, and it wasn't quite as described. The gentleman said it had surface rust, and it seriously had structural rust. But Rick negotiated the price. We were willing to purchase it for a little bit lower price, and the guy didn't have the title. So he said, I have to run home to get the title after we had already driven an hour to get there. So we're waiting, and it took him, almost 20 minutes to drive home and come back, and he couldn't find it. He wanted to write us a bill of sale and say that, I'll get the title and I'll send it to you guys. You guys take the trailer and pay for it today. We didn't feel comfortable with that. So we said, no thanks, we'll, you keep looking for that title. We'll see about it when you find it. And we started heading home. Well, we have some other friends in Arizona who are looking at relocating out here, and there was a property they were interested in that happened to be in that area. So we decided to stop and check out that property on the way back home. And while we were there, the gentleman called back and said, we found the title. So then we headed back there, and we are hooking up to the trailer. Rick hooks up to the wiring, and it was all goofed up. The trailer brakes weren't working. The wiring was bad. The different lights were doing different things that they weren't supposed to. Like, as soon as we plugged in, it's turning on our tail license plate light. And so the brake lights and the turn signals weren't working correctly, as well as the trailer brakes were not working. Then the guy came forward and said, well, my wife pulled forward the other day without unhooking that and yanked it. So there were problems with the wiring, and we didn't want to drive home without trailer brakes, for one thing. And for another thing, Rick doesn't have his shop set up out here yet. So we don't have all of his tools and equipment. A lot of that's in storage. We don't have his welder set up. So he didn't have a ready way to fix all that. So this is turning into a really long story. I'm sorry. But we ended up unhooking. We didn't get the trailer. We're heading home. We contacted the poor gal with the furnace and said, we're going to have to rain check for Monday when we can dump our trailer at the dump and come and pick it up. And she said, that's fine. So that's great. Yesterday started out as a rainy day, and it was Sunday, so we were kind of having a lazy day. Well, that rain turned into snow. So that was our first official snow, and it turned into just a day full of hot cocoa and snow playing. The kids were outside until after dark playing in that snow, building snowmen, snowball fights, the whole 9 yards. So this was all really exciting for them.
Our youngest son, that was his first snow experience at all. And the other kids hadn't really had much snow experience other than, you know, quick visits to it. So that was really fun. Now it is Monday morning. The sun is shining. We have a little bit of snow coverage, but it'll probably all melt today. I think right now it's still under 30 degrees, but it's supposed to get up to 44 today. And we had ordered more rock for our driveway like 2 weeks ago, and I've had to call a couple times, and this morning they showed up bright and early with the first load, then they had to go and they came back with the second load. So Rick's spreading that gravel on the driveway just because we had to dump it on the driveway down a little bit further down the hill, and we're gonna have to be able to get around that. So Rick's spreading that rock out right now, and then we are going to do some more demolition in the basement. We're going to try and pull out the drywall and stuff out of that room where we found the new leak, a new old leak we weren't aware of, and see if that can expose what the leak problem is there. But because we're going to the dump, we may as well have more yucky materials filling the trailer to maximize that load. So that's our day today. We're going to tear that stuff out, take it to the dump, then go pick up our furnace pieces, which we can't pick up until the gal gets home from work after 5 o'clock. And we need to go get some building materials at the building store as well. We'll see how much of this we can accomplish in one day. But it is a gorgeous day, and I am just loving this change of scenery with a little bit of snow. And yeah, so let's go. Looks attached to the outlet.
Yeah, looks like it. All boards floating.
And off comes the plastic sheeting. See what we're dealing with.
Yeah, it is a foundation crack.
Well, look at that. So it's coming through the concrete. Looks like they tried to tar over it there.
That's what they cut out. TV box.
Let's look at this. See, this whole thing is floating here. It's not attached to anything. So it looks like we've got a wall crack to deal with. It goes all the way up there. Rick tore off the framing that was around the window in order to see the full length of the crack there. And he also went outside to evaluate because the moisture is here. This is actually wet. This is above ground. The ground level doesn't start until closer to around here, and the water doesn't seem to be coming through this crack. There's rotten siding up there, and what we suspect is it's leaking behind the siding and then following this crack down and just coming in here that way. So this might not be the actual cause of the leak, the fact that it's a crack, but it is definitely coming in here from the outside, and we know that siding has to be replaced. That's a really huge job. All right, it's super dark, but I'm gonna wrap the video here. I don't think you can see too well, but these are the pieces of the furnace that we picked up. So we got everything dumped at the transfer station, all of the materials we've torn out of the house. And then back here, I don't know if you can tell, Part of the deal with the furnace was that we could take all of their firewood too. So we got probably like a half a quart of wood loaded up, and there's more there, but we ran out of light, and she said we could come back anytime because it's stacked outside. So we're gonna go inside. It's pretty chilly out here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up and subscribe for more updates in the future.